A happy new year to you and welcome to 2022. You're watching Investment Trends brought to you courtesy of the Zambia Development Agency and ZNBC. Now, every year, the Balance of Payment Technical Committee comprising of the Bank of Zambia, Zambia Statistical Agency and the Zambia Development Agency, ZDA, undertakes the Foreign Private Investment and Investor Perception Survey, which helps in informing policy with regards to investment and trade. Recently, the Balance of Payment Technical Committee held a dissemination workshop to share the findings of the 2021 Foreign Private Investment and Investor Perception Survey. And so to shed more light on the findings of the survey, I have with me in the studio ZDA Manager Policy and Research, Stephen Chundama. Sir, it's good to have you in the studio. Welcome and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you for having me, and Happy New Year to you as well.
Thank you so very much. How is ZDA in 2022 looking?
ZDA is looking very promising. I think that the structural changes that the current government are making towards the investment climate are very encouraging.
Beautiful, good to hear. Kindly just tell us, the viewers, what the Foreign Private Investment and Investor Perception Survey is and what its aim and objectives are. This is in line, of course, with the workshop that you just recently held.
Okay, so the Foreign Private Investment and Investor Perception Survey is an annual survey that we conduct in collaboration with our partners, which are the Bank of Zambia, the Zambia Statistical Agency, and ourselves. So this survey, we've been doing it for close to 14 years, and it's mostly implemented by the Balance of Payment Statistical Committee, which comprises of the 3 institutions, as well as other partners such as government ministries like Finance and Zambia Revenue Authority. So the main objective of the survey is in 2 parts. There's what we call the qualitative objective, which in essence is to get the views of investors in Zambia. So we ask investors what they feel about the investment climate. Then they tell us various opinions on different government policies as well as interventions. Then the second objective is actually to quantitatively measure the amount of capital inflows and outflows that come into Zambia. So by that we mean money that comes into Zambia for investment and money that leaves Zambia for the same purpose. So every year we target close to 250 companies who are FDI investors. And by FDI investors, we use the definition of the International Monetary Fund.
Beautiful.
Which means an IMF investor is considered as a foreigner who owns at least 10% shareholding in a company that is incorporated here in Zambia.
That's beautiful. Let's look at what are some of the findings of the perception survey that you just recently held.
Okay. Okay. Before I answer that question, Hezron, allow me to give some context into the findings. So perceptions, as you are aware, they are influenced by prevailing conditions within the economy and investment climate. So our survey was conducted between the months of July to August, which was when we interacted with the companies and got the information from the companies. So before and during that time, you remember that the country was facing various macroeconomic challenges. We had inflation of about 24%. Our exchange rate, kwacha, was trading at 20 kwacha for $1. We had debt of about 26 billion. And we had other macroeconomic challenges. So that went to influence perceptions. At the same time, the country was struggling, actually battling with the COVID-19 pandemic that affected international global finance. Now COVID affects investment in 3 major ways. Firstly, it reduces profitability of companies. So as a result, companies will not have money to reinvest. Then the measures that various countries, including Zambia, put in place, such as travel restrictions, actually reduced investment.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also it increased risk, meaning that international investors with the money could not plan for their investment. So as a result, they postponed their investment decisions.
It's very, very, very sad for the country, especially the impact that COVID has continued to have on our domestic and of course. Now let's just quickly look at the motivation that inspires these investors to invest in our country, Zambia. What could be some of the factors that are triggering their curiosity to invest in this country?
Okay. So as you are aware, Zambia Development Agency is mandated to promote and facilitate investment here in Zambia. So the investors that we attract are both local as well as international investors. So there are various messages that we send to investors internationally, what we call value propositions. We try to convince them to come to Zambia and no other country. You would agree that the market for international investment finance is quite competitive, with most countries in the world competing for a limited pool of investment finance.
Exactly.
So we went ahead and asked our respondents to tell us the main factors why they came into Zambia and why they remained. So among the main reasons that they gave us is because of political stability. About 92% of our respondents indicated that they came to Zambia because it's politically stable. 92% of investors also indicated that they came to Zambia because of the ease of doing business. And 89% believe that we have good infrastructure, and 86% that we have a stable macroeconomic environment. Now, as to the reasons why they remained investing in Zambia, the most important reason is that Zambia has market potential because of its central location within Africa and its membership to SADC, COMESA, the tripartite free trade area, which is an amalgamation of SADC, COMESA, and East African Community, and recently the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Yeah, so all these actually add to Zambia's marketability and market access potential.
What's let's look at the value that these bilateral and these agreements that the country has engaged in, trade agreements. What value are they bringing to the table in terms of the country's economic viability? Because we've signed quite many of them, and I like the fact that our investors are gaining confidence from these trade agreements. But what's the value? Are we maximizing as a country from these contracts?
That's a very good question, Hezron. So in both 2020 and the 2021 survey, we asked respondents to tell us their perceived benefits of Zambia's membership to the regional economic communities and the continental economic community that you have mentioned. You and the viewers might be interested to learn that there's actually been an improvement in investor perceptions compared to 2020 with regards to the benefits. So in 2020, only 41% of investors indicated awareness of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. So this has significantly improved to 53% in 2021. I think this goes to show that government measures aimed at sensitizing investors of the benefits are actually yielding fruit. And also you'll be interested to know that investors actually believe that the main benefit of membership is market access. So 63% of investors indicated that market access was the main benefit. So what we mean by market access is that investors see our membership to these communities as a way in which they're able to export products to a wider market. And they also thought that our membership will actually increase their productivity in the way that they'll be able to import technology and machinery that's not currently available here in Zambia. But more importantly, investors felt that our membership actually increases their access to raw materials and inputs that they use in the production process. But on the negative side, investors also indicated to us that increased competition was actually the downside of our membership. Yeah, because Africa.
Where is it arising? The competition, where is it arising?
Okay. So when we actually join these economic communities such as the CFTA, it entails that we actually open our economy to foreign competition.
Exactly.
So we're likely to experience, our goods are likely to compete more with foreign goods. So investors indicated that this was a downside of our membership.
Oh yes, that does really make sense. Now let's look at the time that it takes for commodities to pass through our borders. Zambia being a land-linked country, so away from what they refer to, we entered school as a landlocked country, we're land-linked country, and then we've got all these borders that have to allow for statutory obligations to be processed. There's always this perception that commodities take too long for them to be cleared off, and did your meeting, your workshop, tackle that aspect?
Yes. So in the survey, we actually asked respondents to give us their perceptions of how long it takes to clear goods at the border. Our interaction with various companies has indicated that in some instances, companies have suffered with delayed clearance of goods at the border. So this delay actually causes a lot of strife for these companies. In some instances, they spend more money because they would incur more transport costs. In some instances, in the case of perishable goods, the goods go bad at the border, so companies lose money. They fail to actually satisfy supply contracts in some instances, so they lose those business opportunities. So we asked respondents to tell us their perceptions of clearance times. And you'll be happy to learn that compared to the 2020 survey, the 2021 survey actually showed that there was an improvement in perceptions along the border. So in 2020, only 41% of respondents told us that clearing times were reasonable. But in 2021, this significantly increased to 75% of investors. So we're attributing this increase to the opening of one-stop border posts, such as Chirundu and Nakonde.
It's beautiful, beautiful. So in a nutshell, you're seemingly giving us those hope that there'll be more improvement in our transportation and our processing of goods on our borders. That's really good. But also, let's look at the impact that these foreign direct investment have had on our economy in the recent years. What's the impact, and is this are the small medium enterprises, entrepreneurs in Zambia, the Zambians rubbing off? Are they sharing in the cake? From your view as ZDA?
Yes, there's actually very high benefits of both foreign direct investment as well as local investment. But specifically for FDI, usually FDI investors come with large sums of capital that they invest into the economy. So these capital injections actually assist in so many ways, such as stabilizing our exchange rate and in other areas. At the same time, FDI investors also contribute towards job creation. They actually employ a lot of our Zambians, and they also allow for a technological exchange. They come with technologies that are not currently available here on the market. So there's so many benefits of FDI investment.
Now, government implements numerous fiscal policy measures that are mostly aimed at stimulating investment, consumption and exports. What are investor perceptions on the effectiveness of government fiscal policy measures?
Thank you so much. So you're aware that government implements numerous fiscal policy measures that are aimed at stimulating consumption, investments, as well as exports. So we asked our respondents to tell us what they think of the various measures that government is implementing. Now, the response from our investors is quite mixed. Some interventions were positively rated, while some interventions were negatively rated. So among the interventions that were positively rated are interventions such as the increase in the threshold for pay as you earn. I think this was the highest rated at 74% of our investors. And also the zero rating of capital equipment was also positively rated by majority of our respondents. The main factors that were negatively rated, I think the highest is local and foreign borrowing. Yeah, I think this was rated negatively by about 57% of our respondents. So our respondents are aware of government debt, and they're actually aware of the negative effects, secondary effects that the debt has had on the economy and the investment climate.
That's beautiful. Let's talk about the monetary policy. What were investor reactions to our monetary policy?
Okay. In general, monetary policy was favorably rated by the majority of our investors. Specifically, measures that the central bank implemented during the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, where they encouraged the use of digital financial services, as well as the reduction of the policy rate from 11% to 8%. So these measures were positively rated. The measure from the central bank that was negatively rated is the reduction in banking hours. So investors told us that that negatively affected investment.
There's seemingly a lot of paperwork that is involved in ensuring that, for example, investors are well settled in their whatever category that they want to invest in. We want to look at government institutions and perception held by these investors in relation to how the public service government workers are deliberating on the affairs. They say red tape issues. What were the concerns raised in that regard?
Okay, so we asked our respondents to tell us their perceptions on the efficiency and quality of service delivery of numerous government institutions. Specifically, we targeted institutions that handle investors. So I think the highest rated institutions were number one, PACRA at 76%. The second was the Bank of Zambia, who are our partners in the survey, at 68%. NAPSA was close third, also at 68%, and then ZRA. So these were the top-rated institutions in terms of service delivery, according to our respondents. But in general, I would say perceptions on government institutions have been declining over the past 5 years that we've been doing the survey. So 2021 was actually the lowest in terms of perceptions of government institutions, which overall stood at 38%.
So before we close, I'll just allow you to just give your closing remarks. And of course, you can echo to the importance of these surveys to a country like Zambia. Your closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Hezron. So overall, for the first time, we actually measured the overall investment perceptions in Zambia using a method that we adapted with support from UK Aid and International Trade Center. So we discovered that there's actually a negative perception that was prevailing at the time of negative 21% among investors. And I believe the importance of this survey is to assist in providing evidence that policymakers in government can utilize in order to improve the investment climate in Zambia.
Beautiful. Thank you so very much, Stephen Chundama. Yes, Stephen Chundama, for shedding more light on the perception, investor perception in Zambia. And this is following the workshop that you had comprising of the Zambia Development Agency, Bank of Zambia, and Zambia Statistical Agency. Well, we've been discussing the information policy with regards to investment trade. So that's all we had for you on the program. Hope that you enjoy 2022. Join me next week with yet another interesting program right here on Investment Trends.